Arsenal's mid-season break has arrived, and boy do they need it. After a third consecutive defeat left fans worried, all eyes are on the January transfer window, so today we'll get an exclusive breakdown, alongside Art Deroche of The Athletic, break down the truth behind Arsenal's financial fair play situation, and reveal the details behind the returning game changer. Yo, what is going on guys? My name is Baz14, welcome back to your boys channel and I hope you guys are surviving. There's a lot of panic in the Arsenal fanbase and a lot to break down. So as per, smash a like on the video if you enjoy, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Let's start off with Arsenal's mid-season break. Arsenal's players have arrived in Dubai, something that's now becoming a yearly thing. This is the prime time for Arteta's men to regroup. Here you have Gabriel Martinelli alongside his missus, enjoying some time to relax. You've even got this video of the gaffer enjoying some steak that has caused a little bit of controversy on Arsenal Twitter, and that's because a lot of Arsenal fans right now are on edge. Having lost the last two games of 2023, Arsenal lost their first game of 2024 at the Emirates, a 2-0 smash and grab against Liverpool, with Gabriel Magalhaes saying after the game, "You fans deserve more, we stick together." Arsenal's owner Josh Kroenke was also at the game, and reportedly after the game he went down to the dressing room to speak to Mikel Arteta and his players. The game itself was very weird, Arsenal creating chance after chance in the first half, and an overall XG of 1.89 in total to Liverpool's 0.85. Mikel Arteta's balance was perfectly fine. Jorginho and Rice playing as a pivot, Arsenal had their flow back, carving through Liverpool time and time again. The game was another example of where the Arsenal problem has changed, where at the start of the year it was all about chance creation. Over the last 3 games, Arsenal have made a 6.47 XG and only scored 1 goal. By building an Arsenal attack around very young players, the risk you run is inconsistency. Young players will always go through moments, hence why the top teams often rely on experience. But there's also a very important change that I want to focus on: the intensity of our team. Look at these numbers here of the team sprints from each Premier League team this season. At number 1 you've got Tottenham, followed closely by Chelsea and Liverpool, but right in the bottom 3 you've got Man City, and not far above you've got Arsenal. You often hear fans talk about last year and the excitement, Arsenal playing at a different speed, a lot closer to Liverpool Klopp, overperforming our XG and our expected points by nearly 11. There's a reason why Arsenal faltered towards the end. Mikel saw the problem of sustainability, hence why this year we've become more like Man City, slower and methodical, the more adventurous party replaced by a conservative Declan Rice. But then it poses the question of adaptation. By changing the style of play so drastically, there was always going to be an adaptation period. But here's what Pep Guardiola has to say. Arsenal's latest troubles are similar to what Man City experienced early in the season. They are playing well but not getting good results. The fact that in our last 3 games Arsenal have had a 6.5 XG and the opponent's only 2.5, yet they have scored 6 and we've scored 1. That, my friends, is not sustainable. I fully expect that in the next few weeks those numbers are going to even out. Those fine margins will hopefully go in Arsenal's favour. But what's happening right now in Dubai? Well, here you've got Fabio Vieira alongside Gabriel Martinelli. And on a positive note, Fabio Vieira has returned to full Arsenal training. This guy could hold the key to a certain Gabriel Martinelli. Arsenal have a clear issue on the left hand side, without the passing profile of Granit Xhaka. Look at these numbers here in terms of ball progression. Last year Xhaka had a 78 rating, with Havertz in there this year it's dropped down to 34. That's why I focus on Fabio Vieira, a player that has a great relationship with Martinelli, with a prime example being this moment against Everton earlier in the year. Vieira starting as a left number 8, playing a lovely through ball to Martinelli that could have been a goal if Nketiah wasn't offside. This quote from Arteta sums it up. "I think relationships are built in the teams and that chemistry comes naturally. When you see Martinelli play with Vieira together, he has even more chemistry because they love each other so much, and they have that way of looking at each other and understanding what is going to happen." You've also got another important return. Having missed the game against Liverpool with a knee injury, Gabriel Jesus is back in Arsenal training. But I want to focus on the narrative. With this being his 3rd injury of the season, there are some Arsenal fans thinking, is Gabriel Jesus injury prone? Let's just say his injury history isn't promising, with a total of 14 different injuries since the start of 2017. Arsenal are looking for a striker in 2024 and this is a major reason why. Mikel Arteta is looking for reliable players that are always available, hence why you've seen the signing of Declan Rice, even the signing of Havertz, a player that's rarely injured. Let's focus on the German for a second. After causing controversy against Liverpool with a 7.2 rating, not only did Havertz miss a total of 2 big chances, but he also created 2. Being inside the ground, I definitely felt the frustration. Havertz wasn't playing with the right level of intensity, taking way too long before firing off a shot, but you can't deny the chaos. When you compare him to Eddie Nketiah, a more natural striker, who definitely is more clinical, there's a reason why Havertz is always getting more chances. It all comes down to movement. Think about the 2 games Havertz has started up front this season. Man City in the Community Shield in this game against Liverpool, he could have easily scored 4 or 5 goals. Havertz reminds me a bit of Darwin Núñez. Rarely a clinical finisher, but always in the headlines. When you think about the history of Mikel Arteta and having come through David Moyes at Everton, it almost feels like Havertz is Mikel Arteta's version of Marouane Fellaini. Arsenal fans are focused on something else though. The team is out of form and they want an injection that could come in the January transfer window. But there's a clear barrier in the way, and that, my friends, is FFP. As Sam Dean says, Arsenal are open to doing business in January, but need to be careful with their finances. The feeling within the club is the squad is currently well balanced, when everyone is fit, and any new arrivals would have to greatly strengthen the team. Arsenal fans may be confused, so let's break everything down with Athletics journalist Art Deroche. Art, there's a massive question going around the Arsenal fan base, and it's to do with FFP. What do you think, from your knowledge, is happening?
I think it was the start of last season, there was talk around how Arsenal may have been close to maybe being investigated and stuff like that, but they weren't in any danger, really, at that point. With them going so strong and spending so much, that is the main reason why going into this window in particular, there's been so much talk about it.
Do you reckon there's there would be a way around that's a bit more creative? Like, could Arsenal look for maybe a loan with a future payment to come from an obligation option to buy?
Yeah, that's definitely a point, because that's basically how they did the David Raya deal in the summer. About 3 million up front and then around 27 million to be paid later on. Looking at this window, if they were hoping to get someone with maybe a longer term idea in mind, that could be a way that they try and go about things.
Obviously, another way that Arsenal could maybe make some rumours from potential sales. Do you reckon there's one player, maybe is it Eddie or Emil, that is a bit closer to an exit? Not that Arsenal want to force him out, but is more likely to leave in this window.
Yeah, I don't see it with Emil Smith-Rowe, just based off the conversations that I've had. I don't think that's something that would happen this month. Eddie Nketiah is one where obviously he's 18 months into a deal. Well, my thing with that, in terms of just my opinion, is the timing of it. I'm not sure if January would be the right time if they didn't have, a solution lined up already. Leandro Trossard, personally, I feel probably should get more opportunities from centre forward than in the left 8 position, for instance.
Do you reckon that Crystal Palace could make an offer?
I wouldn't be surprised, but I would say it depends on their ambition. This is not the first time that they have been linked to Eddie Nketiah. I think that's the big one. And also from an Arsenal perspective, can you actually replace him with someone that's not just a body? You don't want to just bring someone in and ruin the cohesion of what's already there.
Do you reckon there are maybe niche strikers that Arsenal might look at this window? Because you've got rumours rising recently of Boya Monreal and I think Zerki as well. Players like that, they're a bit more niche, not as known. Would Arsenal be intrigued in that type of opportunity?
Short term would probably be the way to go. When you look at how they behaved last year in the January market, I wouldn't be surprised if they go down a similar route because of the stakes. The names you bring up there, I'm not sure things with those two players in particular are as far along as reports suggest. Nobody really saw Trossard coming last year. He was actually linked with Tottenham at the start of the January window. The one thing that wouldn't be a surprise is if they have their eyes on someone who maybe they've been familiar with for a while but hasn't been actually named as a target. It feels very similar to not January of last year but the year before. Aubameyang was on his way out. Lacazette was coming towards the end, and it felt like Arsenal needed a striker. I think Isak and Vlahovic were the names. Arsenal didn't feel like they could go in for them and waited till the summer to get their main target.
Let's talk about midfield then, because I think that's also an area where Arsenal fans are looking at. There's one name that's arisen, and I'd say reliable reports-ish, with Amadou Onana. What have you been told around that deal, if anything? And, what do you think about the player anyways?
In terms of stuff I've heard, I don't think it's got to a point where, I guess, clubs are comfortable to say it's heading in that direction. But in terms of the player, I do think he's someone who fits the mould of not just what Arsenal need, but also, this is probably more important, what Arteta likes. He likes someone with a presence. That word keeps ringing up when he talks about midfielders that he likes. Before Granit Xhaka left, I asked him, what is it about Granit Xhaka that you liked even before he started scoring goals? The first word out of his mouth was presence. And I think Onana has that in abundance, but also what's really nice is he's good technically as well.
Arsenal are always a club that look to the future, and I think this time last year the rumours arrived of Declan Rice and that Arsenal had interest. Do you reckon there is like a Declan Rice type of target or name that Arsenal are looking at that might not happen this window but they would like to do in the summer?
Yes, I think there's probably multiple, really. I don't know if big or biggest is the right way to term it, but Hato at Ajax is obviously one for the future in terms of just him as a player anyway, and is someone that really does fit the mold of what Arteta likes historically. Obviously, a wide player is something that Arsenal have been wanting for a while. Pedro Neto's a guy who they wanted for probably 18 months now, so I wouldn't be surprised if that arose at some point.
Have you been told anything regarding a striker in terms of a target Arsenal do have? Because we've always talked about Tony and Osimhen. Is there a player that stands out on the list?
Not in terms of conversations I've had, but just from personal opinion, I feel like Tony is the guy that stands out most to me. His attributes, I feel like you've seen in his time in the Premier League, he is very rounded. Yes, he can stretch defenses, but also he can be a platform. That is what Arsenal miss at the minute. Tony has not just the physical presence, but also the touch and technique about him in those areas to be a difference maker.
Let's end this on the manager, Mikel Arteta, whose contract expires in 17, 18 months, and there's rumours starting straight away about his potential new deal. What do you think about, what is the feeling of Mikel behind the scenes right now? Is it that he will definitely get a new deal, or are they still maybe unsure?
Yeah, I wouldn't say they're unsure, mainly because if you just look at the club now, especially if you look in probably their hardest moments, that's when they've backed him. So the winter 2020, they didn't flinch really. I know there was a lot of outside talk in terms of surely he's got to go. At that point, they didn't even really consider it. I would also say that the way he behaves, you can probably tell that he understands it's very much now getting to a time where results are going to determine what happens much more than beforehand. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if those talks start to happen in the near future, but also there's a lot of football to be played this season. We have to see how that pans out too.
A massive shout out to Art for jumping on the channel. Comment down below anyone else you want to see on. But let's move on to the other Arsenal news today. Arsenal midfielder Thomas Partey is not going to the African Cup of Nations. Left out of the Ghana squad down to injury. Out of nowhere, he's been spotted in Dubai. According to John Cross in the Mirror, Thomas Partey could give Arsenal a major boost by returning before the end of the month. Partey has stepped up his rehabilitation work and could be aligned to return to the first team duty for Arsenal's trip to Nottingham Forest on January the 30th. This, my friends, would be game changing. You think about the last game against Liverpool, the fact that Arteta started Rice alongside Jorginho in a midfield pivot. Imagine that was Thomas Partey. We've only seen Rice and Partey play 3 times together this season. Would there be a better pivot within the Premier League? But things are getting even better, as Arsenal delivered an RKO out of nowhere showing that Jurrien Timber is returned to training on the pitch, closing into an Arsenal return ahead of schedule. We cannot underestimate the importance of his return. Not only would it solve Arsenal's defensive depth, Timber able to play left back, centre back and right back, but go all the way back to our first game of the year against Nottingham Forest. The return of Timber could also bring back the return of Mikel Arteta's diamond, with Thomas Partey at the base, Rice and Odegaard on the sides, spearheaded down the middle by a certain Kai Havertz. Mikel Arteta's entire idea was to make Arsenal more unpredictable, but losing Timber in the first 50 minutes of the season, Arsenal have only been playing with plan B and we've stayed within range. What do you guys think of the return of Jurrien Timber and Thomas Partey? Do you think that's enough to get Arsenal back towards a Premier League title? That is the video there and there though, so hopefully you guys have enjoyed. If you have, don't forget to smash a like and also subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you want to follow your boy on all of the social medias, then the links are down below in the description. But that was the latest episode of the Transfers FC, and Arsenal are not far away from returning, likewise as Partey and Timber. So hopefully, from all the doom and gloom, Arsenal are able to salvage something out of this season. Anyways guys, I'll see you guys soon, hopefully more transfer updates. Until then, take care and in a bit.